How are we all doing, YouTube? So I'm back with another sit down video for a change, and today we're going to go over 5 things I wish I knew when I started producing. Now, I've been producing for over 4.5 years now. I've had my music supported globally by some of the most recognised artists in the game, and looking back on my journey, I've done a lot of things right. But there is also a lot of things I wish I did differently, and this is exactly one of the reasons why I offer my services, and my inbox is always open so I can help propel other people's career quicker than I did with mine. So with that being said, let's get stuck into it, and we're going to go over point number 1, and that is perfectionism will kill your progress. Now, it's very hard as artists, we get attached to our work, we want it to sound perfect and as best as it possibly can, but I can assure you this is the main thing that is slowing you down in progressing your skills as a producer. This especially applies to beginner to intermediate producers, because really, the music you're making is not that good. Let's face it, you've only been producing 6 months to a year. The likelihood of you making a banger is very slim. Now, having that perfectionism mindset while you're making average or below average tunes means the percentage of improvement you're going to get from the perfectionism is really not going to show much on the tracks. What will help you progress as a producer is actually just starting to make more music. Now, there is a catch to this. You don't want to just never finish your music. You still want to get your tracks to about 80-90% completion, and then take notes, ask for some feedback from friends and other producers, take on board this information, and then apply it to your next track instead of making these minor tweaks. Now, personally, I know how hard this can be because I've been there as a beginner producer myself, and I have spent way too many hours working on tracks which never got played, never got downloaded, and to be quite frank, I don't think even I ever played. So a good rule I've come up with, and a rule that I still follow to this date, is no more than 3 fixing sessions. Now, by fixing sessions, I mean anything from mix down kind of stuff, or even some more production related stuff, whether that's changing the kick, shaping the transient of the clap slightly, adding more reverb on this break, all of these kind of stuff. I would recommend doing no more than 3 fixing sessions. This still allows you to go back into your tracks, fix what you want to fix so you can make those improvements and still be happy with it, but it also stops the issue of over fixing and constantly just spinning your own wheels and making unnoticeable changes to the track, which really won't help you progress. Okay, so point number 2, this is probably one of the ones that I wish I did earlier on in my career as a up and coming producer, and that is invest in your learning, samples and plugins. Now, you've probably heard most people say invest in your learning. It really is worthwhile. It can really streamline your workflow, because the problem with too much free content off YouTube is person A is telling you to do it this way, person B is telling you to do it this way, person C is also telling you to do it this way. As a beginner to intermediate producer, this can be really hard to digest and take it with a pinch of salt and apply it to your own productions. So this is where one-to-one tutors come in handy, like myself, or even online courses, or member sites as well, like Synthfo. Now, on the other hand, you have plugins and sample packs. Most people online are probably telling you don't invest in plugins and sample packs. There's no need as a beginner to intermediate producer. But I can assure you, having good plugins and samples makes the process a lot more fun. And that's what it should all be about at the end of the day. So my guideline would be to invest in the best version of Ableton that you can get. Experiment for a few weeks, see if you enjoy the software using free content. Once you feel comfortable with this, invest in a tutor so you can really streamline your workflow and have that one-to-one experience and ask as many questions as possible so you can get the most from them. By then you should be up to speed. In my opinion, from working with a few people, within about 8 to 16 hours, we can really dive in and get you up to speed on the software. Then you can have a bit of experimentation time, use the free online resources, maybe start to invest in some plugins and sample packs then, join a members site, and before you know it, you'll be making some decent beats. Okay, so point number 3. This is one I was kind of doing unconsciously, but I wish I knew about it consciously so I could start paying more attention to it. And that is learning to reference. Now, referencing doesn't only just help you produce, it actually really helps you train your ear. What you're going to be able to do is listen to other people's work and be able to understand what kind of sounds they're using and how they're creating and structuring their tracks. What I recommend doing is either in a studio session or even just on your AirPods while you're in the gym, out for a walk, opening up Apple Notes while you're listening to music and start explaining the kind of sounds that you are listening to. So for example, if you start listening to music and you feel that the hats are very bright and very clean, you can write that down in your notes, and then you can try and do a bit of research to understand how to get bright and clean hats. You'll probably find out that 1, it's just good quality samples to begin with. 2, they probably use saturation to brighten up the harmonics. And 3, maybe an EQ lift in the highs to make it really shine through the mix. You can really tell if you start doing this across multiple different tracks and multiple different genres, you will really start to get a good understanding of the sounds and how people make their music, which in turns really helps you make your own music. And point 4 is an obvious one, but is be patient and be very persistent. In my opinion, if you're persistent and patient, that is eventually how you achieve all your goals. As you can probably tell, this industry is one for the long games. All the top DJs are pretty much all in their 30s, if not even later. And even some of the up and coming DJs are in their sort of mid to late 20s. So if you're young and listening to this, you've still got plenty of time, and just put in the work and it will all be worth it. Because however long you think it may take, I can almost assure you it would take double it. Now there's certain things that will happen quicker and certain things that happen slower. I probably never thought I'd be doing music full time within 4 years of starting it. But at the same time, I was expecting to get DJ support within the first 18 months of me making my music. Now I've worked with over 150 clients now, if not going on to 200. And the one thing I notice is the ones that are consistent and persistent are the ones that are achieving their goals, releasing music and getting the DJ support. So for me, I recommend you sit down, look at your schedule and start penciling in time blocks where you can produce. How many hours, it doesn't matter. That's all dependent on your schedule. And it doesn't necessarily mean the more the better. It's all about how productive you are within those hours that you're working on music. Now point number 5, and it's probably the most important one, and if I look back on it, at some points I wasn't doing this, and that's always have fun. Don't treat it too much like work. The reason why you probably started DJing, the reason why you probably fell down the rabbit hole of wanting to make music was because you thought it seemed fun. And it is fun, and that's what it should all be about. You're sat there with a computer, a few buttons, making noises, and then sometimes people like it, and even better, sometimes it gets played in clubs and thousands of people dance to it. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Now, at the same time, going back to the last point, yes, you need to be persistent and consistent, and sometimes it may feel like a bit of a chore, but at the same time, it is a creative outlet. And what I found, especially in recent times since doing this full time, if my creativity isn't there, I'm not going to produce good work. So it's always just good to come in with that fun and free mindset and almost just create whatever you want. Something I always recommend to my clients is just to experiment and try making different things. And this has been one of the things that has helped me over the past 12 months really level up my music. And there we go, that is the end of that video. I hope that one was helpful, and I hope you like these sit down videos. Just let me know in the comments below if you want a nice mix between these kind of sit down videos and tutorials. I just wanted to say, if you've watched this far, a massive thank you to everyone. This channel has been growing rapidly over the past few weeks, and that's all because of you guys. I've got some really exciting stuff in the works over the next few months. You can expect a lot more content like this from myself and hopefully other artists in the near future. I won't say much more on it, and I will see you in the next video.